everyone, my name is Olga and I have just graduated from a full-time MBA program at AGSM UNSW Business School. One of the most interesting classes that I studied was a class Operationalizing Strategies taught by Greg Joffrey, an acting principal at Nous Group, one of the leading Australian consultancies. And today I'm going to share with you my top 3 takeaways that I learned in this class and that I'm going to apply in my future professional life.
Takeaway number 1. Strategy comes first.
Over the course of study, we deconstructed many different problems of many different companies. And what I learned, that the solution to almost every problem always has to refer back to the strategy of the company.
One of my favorite frameworks given by Greg is the Nous Group Organization Architecture Pyramid. It allows to see clearly the relationship among the components of the organization and demonstrates what good governance means. Alignment between mission and strategic goals of the company is very important to keep both customers and employees at the same page about what it is exactly that makes the company different from all its competitors.
So what exactly have I learned about the strategy that I will be able to apply in my future profession as a business leader?
First of all, the strategy is all about the competition. Famous Harvard professor Michael Porter defined the strategy as the creation of a unique and valuable position involving a different set of activities. Porter taught us that to achieve sustainable competitive advantage, you need to either perform different from your rivals' activities or to perform them in a different way.
But how do I find that unique strategic positioning that will make me the winner against the existing competition?
Here I am recalling the concept of strategic square that every company must clarify about itself and ideally its competitors. Any company must have a product or service that satisfies a given requirement of a certain type of client in a given location. Let's imagine it's 1960s and you are the company producing black-white TVs. Sets in South Korea. We look at 4 sides of the square and see if we can think of a type of product, client, need or location in which the 3 largest players are not present and where there is no crossover between products. You have probably already recognized that the company we are is Samsung, one of the most strategically wise conglomerates.
It's time to move forward, and my next takeaway from this course is about the organizational design.
Takeaway number 2. Best way to design organization. It all depends.
It is actually the main principle of the contingency theory of organizational design that we use to understand this subject. So what does it depend on?
There are contingencies that affect the organizational design. Diversification of products, geographies, customer segments, size, public accountability, innovation. The general understanding is that the strategy develops from functional to matrix, with the number of products, geographies, customer segments, and size of the company, thus change in organizational structure is driven by increase of strategic breadth.
So in my future work, how would I know when it's time to change my company's organizational structure?
First, as we established earlier, look at your strategy and how it has changed over the time. The main purpose of the organizational design is to enable the strategy. And usually, as you diversify your products, geographies, and customer segment, that structure aligns with this. Another principle is relatedness. How different is the nature of work between products? Do you need different staff to do it? And how much of shared staff you have? Less related products you have, more divisions you have. It is costly. So if the main strategic driver is innovation, divisional organizational structure is alright. But if it is the cost, functional will still be better. The larger the size of the organization, the more elaborate is the structure of it. Such organizations usually have more vertical levels and more horizontal units. Change in external environment, when we've been disrupted, often requires a change of the organizational structure. And finally, mergers and takeovers happening in your company require the change of organization structure as well.
Organizational structure is a big subject, and we discussed in class many aspects of it. However, Greg also shared with us some of his practical recommendations, and I remember them, and now I would like to share them with you.
Advice number 1. Considering the organizational structure, find one thing that is out of line. Use Pareto rule, the most impactful rule. Advice number 2. If you need to achieve operational improvements, start with process and technology first, before the structure. You don't need to have to change the structure when you want to fire people. Advice number 3. It is really important to think how to coordinate among departments. As the best advice here will be, use the least complex way to do it. Advice number 4, and one of the most important, don't meet any new situation with reorganization.
Now let's move on to the takeaway number 3.
Takeaway number 3. Good KPIs help make strategy real.
I really like the framework given by Greg that clearly explains how exactly we can define a performance measure. Let's work it out through an example.
Let's imagine I work as a head of customer service in an online grocery store. The objective I need to achieve is happy customers. This is tied back to our strategic plan to deliver the best groceries and the best customer experience. The measure of the progress will be Net Promoter Score. Now we look at what is our current performance. And then we define this specific target, value of this measure to be achieved, plus 10%, which is 60. Where we will get the data? Well, we'll get it from the NPS survey. Here we need to test our measure and make it smart. Ideally, performance measures should cascade from the strategic plan to individual level, but every company would have different needs.
That was my overview of my top 3 takeaways from an Operationalizing Strategies class at AGSM. Thank you for your attention and wish you good luck with your work and study.